One of the most celebrated sporting events that brings people of all cultures together. The 20th FIFA World Cup was held in Brazil, and Rio de Janeiro held the final, with 75,000 spectators and close to 1 billion viewers tuning in from home to watch sports history be made. The World Cup is a rarity as it comes once every 4 years.
Cosmopolitan cities such as Montreal serve as a representation for what it is all about, the parade of ethnicities, of national pride, of celebrating extensions of identity. Fans support their team with their cultural capital, waving flags, wearing symbolic colors, and singing national anthems.
Here, groups that may be considered a minority among the dominant white French and English Canadian population make themselves visible. It affords them a voice. Is this visibility all positive? For some, it encourages derogatory and impulsive actions, but for others, it promotes sharing and interacting with other cultures.
In Brazil, approximately 18 million people live in poverty. Poor rural communities live in disadvantaged conditions. Education and health facilities are not readily available, water supply and sewage systems are generally inadequate, and rural people face severe constraints in accessing technology and infrastructure. These voices of despair were heard though disregarded. After all, there is no stopping the voices of dominance and the politics of the game.
In light of these issues, we asked a few questions to our friends.
We were curious to know their thoughts concerning multiculturalism and the World Cup.
I support Ghana. As soon as Ghana is out, I go for Brazil because my grandmother's background is from Brazil.
I do support a team. Most of the time, the teams I support are based on skill level.
I support Italy. It is my background, my culture. My second team would be Argentina because my grandmother has roots from Argentina. So.
Probably generally it's nationalism in the sense that people tend to cheer for the countries that they are from or that they have connections to, but multiculturalism also because you can't escape watching the World Cup and not learning a little bit about different storylines or teams in different parts of the world.
Because it gives me a chance to see all the other cultures. And for instance, when we went to South Africa, I got to know more about South Africa than before. So I really enjoy it. And I also bring it to school and get the kids all fired up.
So I think the World Cup on an individual level promotes nationalism for the individual, but I think that on a global scale, looking at it with very broad strokes, I think it does promote multiculturalism.
The World Cup is a celebration. It's about bringing everyone together. You see people honking on the street, regardless if it's Brazilian, French, Italian, Argentinian. So
I think it's a reason to celebrate our heritage and cultures. I wish Canada can go in, and then I'll see where my allegiance lie.
I think the World Cup gives us a chance to celebrate diversity of cultures and our own heritage because it presents it in a way that a lot of cultures aren't aware of. It just highlights identities that most people don't see. And I think it can fuel hatred, but most of the time it's not really hatred. It's just competition.
For me, I think it's almost the answer is neither, because I think as Canadians, soccer isn't a huge part of our Canadian culture. It's very different than in some South American countries or European or African nations where soccer is the be-all and end-all. And I think maybe for other nations, maybe it does in some way lead to them disliking another country because their team lost or something like that. But as a Canadian, I don't feel any allegiance or anything like that to any one team. It doesn't make me feel any differently about another team.
It could be a little bit of both. I think done well, or done as everybody would like to see the World Cup done, it fuels a certain appreciation of others, and in its worst moments, sports like nationalism can also be violent. And balance, I think it's probably more positive.
FIFA strongly recognizes its responsibility to lead the way in abolishing all forms of discrimination in soccer. FIFA's disciplinary code strongly prohibits the use of racism, and if so, is punishable by suspension and expulsion.
Decimos no al racismo.
No to racism.
Nee tegen racisme.
Non au racisme.
No al racismo.
No to racism.
The late human rights activist and former South African President Nelson Mandela long fought for the World Cup to come to Africa. In 2010, he felt honored to finally host the beautiful game. Mandela considered sports a major weapon against racism. He is quoted as saying, "Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does. Sport can create hope where once there was only despair. It is more powerful than government in breaking down racial barriers." Ultimately, the World Cup brings visibility to many cultural identities, while prompting the celebration of difference and bringing unity of love for the sport.
We hope you enjoyed joining us on this journey where sports and culture become one in the same.